You know, we're taking in literally trillions of dollars for the country. This is making our country very rich and respected again.
O líder máximo da maior superpotência do mundo, objetivamente, é um ativo soviético ou russo. Funciona como ativo.
You know, nothing says America is in the driving seat quite like Trump ending the so-called de minimis exemption, the rule that lets packages under $800 skip tariffs, and countries around the world simply responding by saying, all right, bet, we're not shipping to you anymore.
The change of this rule is not a big surprise, but the time frame is very challenging for us because the new regulation comes into place from August 29, and we don't have enough time. So not only us, but all postal providers don't have enough time to guarantee a safe and legal shipment of goods to the US.
Les envois de colis aux États-Unis, en fait, les règles ont changé depuis hier, suite à une décision prise par Donald Trump sur notamment les taxes de douane. Et donc depuis hier, les clients ne peuvent envoyer des colis à destination des États-Unis à la seule condition que le contenu ne dépasse pas en valeur 80 €, soit 100 $ américains, et que ce soit à destination d'un particulier et que ce soit un cadeau. Donc ce sont vraiment des conditions très verrouillées. Maintenant, les clients qui veulent envoyer un colis à destination des États-Unis ne pourront plus le faire depuis les automates, mais uniquement au guichet. Parce que
That's right. The US, once the biggest customer on earth, is now barreling towards the intended isolationism Trump so desperately seeks as the list of countries simply refusing to ship to the United States grows.
Yeah, so this starts on Friday. So basically any package that comes into the US valued at under $800 will have to go through customs and will have to be tariffed, basically taxed. That was waived before under what's called the de minimis tariff exemption, but President Trump effectively ended that after signing an executive order last month. But as you mentioned, there's major questions over how this is going to work, what information is needed for these packages, as well as who will be the ones doing the processing on this. So because of all this gray area right now, these companies have decided to just hit the pause button, take a step back, wait and see as more information comes forward in terms of how this is all going to work going forward. You know, just in the last week or so, U.S. Customs gave out some technical details on how this will work going forward. So it's a pretty quick turnaround from technical details to implementation. So another reason why some of these companies are waiting so long. You know, tariffs have been a major focal point for the Trump administration during the second term. President Trump has viewed this as a way to bring money into the U.S. to deal with the trade deficit, as well as create some manufacturing jobs here in the U.S. Trump has called de minimis tax exemption like a big scam hurting U.S. businesses, so now he is ending it.
Recently, Australia suspended shipments, citing confusing new rules. Yeah, you don't say. The Royal Mail in the UK also hit pause, thankfully, after my mum sent my tea bags and custom Oasis merch for the upcoming concert. Thanks, Mum. Postal services, however, across Europe, Asia, and beyond have either just outright suspended or limited parcel deliveries to the United States, citing unclear custom rules and potential liabilities. Now, this isn't just about shipping hiccups, right? It's signaling how much Trump's bipolar tariff policy can deter international business, a tariff policy that a federal appeals court recently ruled was mostly illegal.
Breaking tonight, just moments ago actually, a federal appeals court ruled most of President Trump's tariffs are illegal. The court is saying the president exceeded his authority in imposing those levies. There's a catch, though, in this ruling. Correspondent David Spunt has details tonight, breaking just minutes ago. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening. The catch is that the tariffs can stay in place until October 14th. That's when the mandate from the circuit court, the federal circuit court appeals decision actually kicks in. This was a 127-page decision that just came down within the last 30 minutes. We're reading it, but it finds that most of the president's tariffs are unconstitutional. This was published to the public docket, as I said, within the last few minutes. Now, the panel found that the tariffs on nearly every country were not authorized, Brett, by the International Emergency Economic Powers Act and therefore are illegal. The court writing today unanimously, the statute bestows significant authority on the president to undertake a number of actions in response to a declared national emergency. But none of these actions explicitly include the power to impose tariffs, duties, or the like, or the power to tax. Now, arguments were recently held in Washington, D.C. This gives the administration the green light to go directly here to the U.S. Supreme Court, which we expect to happen very soon.
The court is saying that the president exceeded his authority. I know. This guy? No way.
Upon peace, God willing we get peace, are you open to holding an election in your country?
Yes, of course. We are open for election, yes. We have to do safety circumstances, and a little bit we need to work in the parliament, because during the war you can't have elections, but we can do security. We need, maybe, how to say, we need a truth, yes, everywhere, the battlefield, in the sky and the sea, yeah, to make possible for people to do democratic, open, legal elections.
So you say during the war you can't have elections. So let me just say 3.5 years from now. So you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh, that's good. I wonder what the fake.
You like this idea?
Yeah.
No.
You're not saying you think Republicans are gonna stop it?
I don't think Donald Trump wants another election. You think for a second you want? I have 24 Trump 2028 hats. His folks keep sending me.
And you think he's going to run again?
No, don't give me. You don't. Who spends $200 million on a ballroom at their home and then leaves the house?
But it's not just other countries pulling the plug. E-commerce platforms such as Etsy, Shine, and Temu are scrambling. Some choosing to pause US shipping entirely or shifting inventory domestically, with experts warning this could reduce small parcel volume into the United States by as much as 75% and accelerate a restructuring of global supply chains. So, in conclusion, as a result of Donald Trump's tariffs, not only are US shoppers seeing prices go up alongside inflation, they're now facing delayed or cancelled parcels from across the world, not because of storms or strikes, but because the world's postal carriers just threw up their hands and said, well, not our circus. Unfortunately for us, though, we're stuck with the clown.
The change could cost consumers a staggering $13 billion overall. The costs break down $80 per item for countries with a tariff rate of less than 16%, $160 per item for countries with rates between 16 and 25%, and $200 per item for countries with rates above 25%. Those small dollar costs amounting to big picture concerns for the economy, as Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell signaled late last week that rate cuts could be on the horizon.
The shifting balance of risks may warrant adjusting our policy stance.
There was also a de-escalation in those trade tensions between Canada and the U.S. following a call between its Prime Minister and President Trump last week. And two important points on the de minimis exemption here, guys. First off, the White House says that they're doing this to try to stop the flow of fentanyl into this country. But the second point is that there is still an exemption for anything that's coming into the U.S. that's worth less than $100. So if you're getting, let's say, for example, a postcard and a keychain from Germany, it will not be tariffed, depending on how expensive that keychain is.
If you're going to take BLS data, they're going to say jobs numbers, we're just not going to release them, or you're going to change or corrupt the inflation data, that will come into conflict with what people are experiencing, Justin.
More than that, it will come in conflict with what they get. Remember that, if Trump's tariffs cause inflation, and there's already signs that they are, that's going to undermine the purchasing power of seniors. Now, fortunately, our Social Security system says we index, which is to say adjust Social Security to take account of inflation. Now, what happens if he imposes those tariffs, they raise the cost of living, and he instructs the head of the BLS, because it's very uncomfortable to admit that inflation was high, instead to construct some other measure which gives us lower inflation? What that does is constructs a new economic reality in which seniors won't get the cost of living adjustments that they need. The thing is, these statistics are embedded in our society in ways that many of us do not immediately imagine, but we're all served by them being accurate. And they do things like adjust the cost of living. We have trillions of dollars in bonds that are tied to them, and so on.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.